one thing you can do is look at how oil stocks rallied after the OPEC production cut versus how they rallied after the election result, and there is really no comparison. The OPEC news was a much, much bigger deal for oil stocks. And the fact of the matter is, for an oil company, what matters above all is the price of the commodity. Now, politics and regulations in Washington, there are industries for which that's a very big deal, but energy is not really one of them. There are some small things that can happen. So under the Trump administration, they have signaled that they will probably reduce regulations on building new pipelines, like the Keystone pipeline that many people have heard of, and that could be useful, for those particular companies. Maybe opening access to some acreage could be useful, but ultimately, it really matters what the commodity landscape is. And when we think about companies making investment decisions, how many wells will they drill? It's not a matter of who's in the White House or who controls Congress. It's going to hinge on the level of oil prices. So, there are some deregulatory steps for oil and gas that could be useful. The bigger deal, in terms of the election, is actually for the electric power sector, because the regulatory framework for electric utilities would be, under greater change had Hillary Clinton won the election. And I'm specifically thinking about the Clean Power Plan. Clean Power Plan would have required all the electric utilities nationwide to reduce their carbon emissions. And this is something we have never had before at the federal level. So with Trump winning, there is not going to be national implementation of the Clean Power Plan. It's worth noting that this has not taken effect, which means it's not going away. It's simply not going to be implemented in the first place. And it's also worth noting that almost 20 states have rules along those lines already at the state level. So it's not going to, be perhaps as impactful, as it would have been, simply because there are a lot of states that are already requiring carbon emissions. Now, carbon emissions for electric power clearly has nothing to do with oil, because we do not burn oil in power plants. It matters for coal. It matters for natural gas to some extent. It matters for a renewable power, wind and solar. The fact of the matter is coal is going to continue to lose market share in the U.S. electricity mix. That's not going to change. It's already been losing share for about 10 years. Natural gas will be gaining share, and renewables like wind and solar will also be gaining share. The only change is perhaps coal will be losing share a little bit more slowly than it has been up to this point. But those basic underlying trends are really not going to go away.